I first became the head coach, I was trying to, in my head, think of my game plan and my model of how I wanted to run my program, and take things from this person and this person that I've learned from. And I had a coach when I was in junior high that was running the kids club, and he was the very first person outside of my family that I felt love from. Like, I knew my mom and dad loved me, and I loved them. My brothers and sisters, my grandparents, I understood love in that situation. I never felt love outside of the family. He was the first one, and I knew that was different, and I knew that made him different. And we thrived on that, absolutely thrived on that. And so I knew I wanted to incorporate that. I wanted these kids to know that I had their back, we had their back. And in doing that, you build these relationships with kids that, I wouldn't have known most of these kids, if I wasn't coaching.
The first step we kind of found, Coach Horgan and I did, was earning their trust and respect. And one of the ways to do that we found was get in there and mix it up with them. There was a lot of times where we wouldn't do anything or ask anything of the kids that we wouldn't do ourselves. And when you're right in there conditioning with them, working with them, grinding, then you get a little bit of buy-in.
It was actually his senior year. The longtime head coach had been here for years, had retired, and had just hired Kurt Breckeisen as the head coach. I had stayed on as the assistant, and there's with change, there's always turnover a little bit, and some kids left, and it just kind of started to unravel, and everybody was quitting, and I knew what we were doing was right. I knew the things we were showing and the way we were doing things differently, I knew was right, but we ended the year with 4 kids.
I had guys that didn't want to wrestle. I went and talked to them in the halls and run them down and tried to get them to come out and told them what we could do, and they didn't want any part of it. And there was a little bit of doubt, but
one of those kids quit and then came back. So it was rough, but it did make you question a little bit, like, is this right? Are we doing what we need to be doing? And Kurt was awesome in the fact that he never batted an eye. He was like, stay the course. And we would go out to Hayes, and we'd have 3, 4, 5 qualifiers, whatever, and it was pretty much our parents up there, and that was it. Then I had some friends from Hoxie, and you'd look up in their corner, and they would fill the entire corner. It was just like, that is unbelievable. And I was asked these buddies of mine, like, what's it like wrestling for them? That's when you put a kid on their back and that whole corner starts stomping their feet. I get goosebumps.
But Eastern Kansas wrestling in the small schools had no respect, and that the Western Kansas schools didn't have any respect for us, and rightfully so, because at the time we weren't as established as them, and that was always one of my goals, was to make Rossville wrestling relevant to the state of Kansas. I think Coach Graves was a youngster. He wasn't a senior yet. He was one of the 4. And we used the chip on our shoulder to build, to get respect, to help with the facilities. We did a lot of fundraising to help promote the program.
We've always talked about, we're probably never going to win a lot of tournaments. We're probably never even going to win a state tournament, but we would rather go to battle with 5, 6, 7 lions than a bunch of sheep. And that's kind of always how it's been. Kids buy into what our coach is selling them, and I kind of prod them a little bit, and that's how it works. And I wouldn't take it any other way. Absolutely not.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot actually, and said we could probably do things differently and get more even at this small school, get more kids out, get more kids that would try it, if we backed off on certain things and did things a little bit differently, but that's not who we are. That's not what we built the program around. The program is built around the concept of that everybody is all bought in. There's no dipping your toe in the water.
For years, nobody knew we wrestled. Nobody knew what we did every Saturday. Nobody knew that Hayes was where state was. And I felt like we had to build respect and get even our own people to buy in. I wrote newspaper articles back in the day when we had newspapers. Me and the newspaper people would fight, and I literally hung up on them one day because they changed one of my articles. We did a lot of stuff to promote the program.
And it got to the point where, our program was building, we were doing better, and Rossville will support a winner. They will support a winner. And, we were growing our family, our wrestling family, it was getting bigger and bigger, and we got a pretty darn good section up there, and you put a kid in the finals, and they say, from Rossville, and you can't even hear them say their name because our crowd's cheering so loud. That's...
I don't even remember what year it was, but when we were at state, and they're announcing the finalist, and they announced the dogs, and our corner went off. And I looked at Coach Horgan and I said, we made it. We always wanted to be like the Hoxie or the Norton section. They have their corner, each one of them had their corner. We finally got ours.
I feel like there's no better two coaches together than those two, and I will put my life on it.
Coach Horgan always says a couple things. First of all, with kids, you can't fake it. Like, they know. If you fake it, they can read you like a book. Kids they're good that way.
Never once in my entire career or time that I've known them, they've ever said or done anything that steered me in the wrong direction or not towards success.
Kids won't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And when he first said that to me, it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I'm like, dude, you're right, man.
Because those two guys had nothing but love and want for us to succeed, probably more than we did or our families. And
when these kids know that we care for them, they will absolutely run through a brick wall. And you think I'm kidding? The wrestling rooms are made of brick walls, and they will try.
We used to say it in the room all the time, if they told us to run through a wall, we would try. And I can't explain that to you, but I can confidently say that I would try if they told me to.
If you show up, day one with a brand new kid and you try and run it through the rigors of what our practice room's like, it doesn't work that way, So you've got to get them to trust you and buy in and be genuine with them. And again, once they know that you got their back, that's the battle right there.
The way we go at things in that room, and if you survive that room, you can handle anything.
The mental toughness of it all, honestly, that definitely helps a lot, because every day you're going into practice and you're going to get beat up no matter what. So it kind of prepared me for life.
When kids get to feel, it's hard to battle through practices that are completely exhausting, to physically and mentally drain yourself every day. It's tough for 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids to do that day in and day out, especially if you are not a big wrestling person. But when you do the things that you're asked to do and you do them 100%, and you go out there on a Saturday and you're able to break someone's spirit, it makes it easier to go into the room and do what we ask you to do, because you get to feel things like that. And when kids are like, oh, okay, so if I do this, then this is what I get back. That's just added on to the first part. The first part's the most important. If you can't get them to trust you, you got nothing. When you're excited for kids constantly, and they can see that you're genuine about that, they're excited, And so for me, for all the people who have seen me and us in the way that we coach, I don't care what anyone thinks. That's not fake. Like, that's us caring so much, I get so excited I just start moving. Like, my body, I say this to kids, and only the kids in our program would probably understand this, but nobody wants you to have success more than us. Maybe not even some of your parents. That seems hard to believe, right? It kind of seems hard to believe, but I believe that it's true. And I don't care what anyone else thinks. So for me, like, if you want to win this match and you want to win this tournament or whatever the case may be, I'm on the edge of my seat because I want what you want.
Just like having that kind of like love from a coach in your life was like so like changing, because it's like, family, you realize family's not just blood. And like, I know that I can call those guys if I ever needed to outside of high school, or even when we were in high school, they text in the group me like, hey, congrats volleyball on this, cheer, good job at state, like we're gonna be there to watch, like it wasn't just a season to them. Like, we were family for a lifetime, and it showed up through so many times in our lives, and I honestly don't know how to ever pay them back, but I would die trying.
My biggest thing would be in 20 years that all the kids that wrestle for me still would come out to me and have conversations with me. For me, that's a legacy that I would like to leave. Like, I would say that the wrestlers that I become the closest with are the wrestlers that I wrestle with directly. Now, I love all my wrestlers, so I don't want to make that sound like I don't love them all, but there's a connection there because we wrestle every day. When Cody Davern was a senior, I knew he wasn't the better wrestler. I knew he was not the better athlete. I knew he was not stronger. I knew that the world was stacked against him, and I still expected him to win. And I don't know how as a coach you can think that your athlete's going to win in that scenario, but we did. He did. I did. Bo did. Like, we all thought that he was going to win. And when he lost that match in the state finals because he wanted to win so bad and he was prepared, and it hurt in a level that I really can't explain. When we were done, like, I almost couldn't breathe, and I didn't even know what to say to him. I love to talk, and I get excited, and I couldn't even. I had no words, and my heart was just broken.
It will change you, and it'll change you for the better. One thing I've always told those kids on the fence that are like, "Hey, I'm thinking about wrestling, this and that," I'm like, I can't promise you wins and losses. I can't promise you success. I can't promise you anything other than if you buy in, you won't regret it. That's the only thing I can promise. You will not regret it. You will get something out of this emotionally, physically,
That's what everybody always told me, why they didn't wrestle. Because I don't want to waste my Saturdays. But you go sit in the gym all day long, you're with other families, the other wrestlers' parents and stuff. You get to know each other, you get to know each other's other kids. It turns into a family.
When you see a kid wherever he comes up and gives you a hug or comes and talks to you about his job, make you think that you become a part of that kid's life, forever. And then that's what I always told them, like, our relationship doesn't end at the end of February when the season ends. And it doesn't end in May when you graduate. Like, it goes on forever.
I'd like to thank everybody that's been involved. All the people that have stuck it out and stuck through the room, the coaches that have helped. It's been a really fun ride. It really has.
That was as good as I could do, because I'm telling you, Kira, don't bite people anymore. I've had enough of that. You can stop biting.
There's been somewhere I'm like, this bite.
A lot where I thought he was going to be funny.